Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started.
Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. Before I jump into today's content, I wanted to remind you guys that we have a fantastic free webinar that's available on customer service. It's meant to be a training for you and your teams. So make sure to check in the show notes and go find that free webinar today. Okay, so the topic of today is real or not real. This is coming from some inspiration. My 8th grade daughter is in the middle of just being obsessed with the Hunger Game books. And so in order to have some good dialogue with her, I jumped in and have been reading those as well, just finished reading those. And there is, for those of you who have read the books, there is a period of time where the main character named PETA is tortured by the Capitol, mentally, physically, all of that. But mentally, he comes out of it having a real hard time discerning what's real and actual truth and what is not real, untruths that have kind of been fed to him through the Capitol. So through this mental torture, he just had this inability to distinguish between real and not real. And as I thought about that in today's episode, I realized how accurately that scenario describes what so many dental professionals and dental owners go through. Every day they're recognizing things around them and they're just trying to figure out, is this real? Is this really happening across the dental world, or is this not real? Is this a microcosm in my little world? And I see this a lot when I am interfacing with my clients. It's almost like I'm their link to the outside world, and they're describing some of the things that are going on in their practice and wondering, are other people going through the same thing? Is this real? And so I wanted to actually attack some of those topics today, and hopefully it will be helpful to know what is truly a trend that I'm seeing or something that's prominent in the dental world, and then some things that I think are not real that may be circulating around. So without further ado, let's dive into real versus not real. So the first one that I put on my list was the slowness of dentistry. I have had several people asking me, is this happening elsewhere? I am so dismally slow. Many of them are citing that it started in November/December, that they started to feel some of the painstaking slowness that they were experiencing. And I will tell you, this is a very, very real trend that I'm seeing right now. Of course, there's going to be outliers to every trend. So if this is not you, congratulations. Your reality is not the reality that most people are experiencing. Most people are experiencing a very rare downturn. November, December has always been historically busy for dental practices, and many of my clients experienced a less than busy November, December. Now, if there has ever been a slow November, December, it usually picks back up in January and we kind of hit the new year running and things get back on track if they were off track. And that has not been the case this January and February. We are obviously into March now, and I'm getting little glimmers of maybe a little bit of hope, but not like I was hoping to see. So even January and February, which can be some strong months for dental practices, have also been slow. So I can speculate all day long on why this is. All I do know is that this is a trend that breaks the norm. I've been involved in dentistry for a very long time now, and there's been these cyclical patterns of busyness and slowness that tend to hit dental offices at about the same time, whether that's on the West Coast, the East Coast, or straight up in the Central, the patterns tend to be similar, quite honestly. And so there's always been this predictable pattern in dentistry that is broken right now, and we're not following that same pattern. And so that trend, that slowness that you are wondering, is this really happening, or is this just all in my head? I actually believe it is real. And some of what I think is happening is we're finally catching up with some of the economic concerns that people have had. Some of the just worldwide unrest is finally hitting people. I do think a number of people have dropped dental insurance and are therefore being more cautious about jumping into a dental office. I also think that people, if they are still coming, they're coming for prevention and they're hesitant to schedule their dentistry, either due to wanting to preserve funds, wanting to push funds towards something else, or just in general, just not being connected to their health care as much as they have been in the past. So it is a very real trend, and my just short little advice to you on this trend is this is where you dig deep and lean into all of those retention efforts that we talked about in the last episode, as well as your internal systems to ensure that you guys are doing everything in your power to make it easy for the patients to remain active in your care, whether that's them coming back consistently for hygiene, whether that's making it possible for them to get that crown that they've been waiting on, or whether it's something larger like starting and maintaining their orthodontic treatment or starting that implant process and procedure. You want to just use this kind of downtime to evaluate or reevaluate how smooth it is to get the patient from point A to point B. And is there anything you can do to improve that process and make it better? This is a time to dig deep and refine those skills that are going to help you hopefully get back on track. Okay, so that's number one. Real or not real, the slowness of dentistry is absolutely real. If you're experiencing that, I know it's not super comforting, but you're ultimately not alone in that category. And I'm going to continue to keep a close eye on when this abnormal trend starts to correct. Trend number 2, the absence of hygienists. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked this lately. Are hygienists did they all quit? Did they all leave? Are we not turning out enough hygienists? Like, where in the heck are they? I feel like we have fewer hygienists, or I feel like they're absent. So I would say this is actually not real. You might be surprised to hear me say that. I think there's as many hygienists as there has been. I know we lost a good bit in the pandemic who decided to not come back into the field or to pursue other interests like nursing or myofunctional therapy or things like that. So we definitely lost our fair share of hygienists, but we're still graduating a great number of hygienists. I think the reason that it feels like they are absent is so many of them are taking a path of not permanently placing themselves in a dental office. They are instead affiliating themselves with either staffing platforms, temp agencies. The trend, at least that I'm seeing, is that they're still hygienists and they're still working in the field, but they're doing it on their own terms and they're doing it through temp or platforms, basically, so that they can pick up jobs as needed. Now, that is not helpful if you aren't affiliated with a platform or a temp agency. Then it can feel like there's truly no hygienist available. But if you are affiliated with a temp agency or platform, then you'll realize that when you do need a hygienist, in a good portion of those situations, you're able to find one through those platforms. Now, I could talk all day about the long-term consequences of this on dental practices, and the exorbitant expense of those hygienists definitely makes you think twice about booking one through the agency. And at some point, it will become an unbearable price tag, is what I foresee happening. But in the interim, they are still available, and they're usually available through those platforms. The other thing that I hear or have questions asked about is, I feel like there's a real absence of RDAs, that when we need an RDA, there's very few that apply, or maybe some new ones, but it just doesn't seem like there's near as many as there used to be. And I would actually say that that trend is real. So I am seeing a severe lack of dental assistants that are graduating out of programs, a lack of people that are choosing to go into dental assisting. It has become a field that has shrunk in size. And part of that could be we haven't advertised the field enough. This could still be results of the pandemic and how RDA schools kind of minimized their enrollees, or I've heard of many RDA schools that have gone completely under and no longer have a school operating. But I think a lot of it is we're not attracting people to the field for one reason or another. And so we're experiencing, after probably several years of this slow trickle of RDAs leaving the field, we're really experiencing the loss of them. And we're not doing a great job of reactivating people or seeking out new people for the field. We just kind of keep waiting for the RDAs to come back. So I do think we need to really consider what it takes to start sharing how great the dental field is with other people who are looking for a great career, or people who are thinking medical and could be convinced dental. I do think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of talent out there that just hasn't considered the dental field. And we may need to change up our strategy a little bit and look for those people who are eager to learn a new craft or a new trade and are interested in doing something that matters, which is dentistry. So I think this takes all of us talking to friends, family members, schools, community colleges, and really working to get people interested in the dental field. But the absence of RDAs that you're experiencing is absolutely a real trend that I'm seeing. The next one, and maybe the last one that I'll talk about for this episode today, is I have to prevent myself from laughing on this one, but insurance reimbursements are improving, that there are positive trends that are happening. I am going to land on the side of not real, and I'll tell you why. First of all, there have been multiple rumors over the last year to year and a half that insurances are making some positive changes, and that they are essentially attempting to right their wrongs of the last 20 years or so. And part of righting the wrongs is to have better reimbursements, better approvals, less denials on claims. There have been rumors of companies like Delta Dental who are now paying their out-of-network providers directly rather than all of them sending checks to the patients. And while I've seen some changes in insurance being willing to negotiate with a client for a better fee schedule, whereas for a while there was absolutely no negotiation. You took your fee schedule and you liked it. And I am seeing that some of my clients have been successful with negotiating some higher fee schedules. Now, is it an applaudable amount? No, but it's an improvement. And after a long dry spell of no improvements, I have seen some companies make better choices in their reimbursements when a client initiates that change. So for that, I would say yes, we've seen some glimmers of improvement there. But collectively, across the board, which unfortunately you have to kind of group dental insurance together and talk about it in this way, collectively, I am seeing that dental insurance is unfortunately not improving, or at least not improving to make up for the large deficits that they've created over these last 20 years. I have continued to see rule and regulation changes on something as simple as x-rays. I know many people listening to this episode probably got that letter in the mail from, I wish I could remember the name of the company. It's left me now, but an insurance company that ultimately said, by the way, based on ADA protocol, you've got to write a narrative for every PA that you send now. There's got to be clinical reason that you would take a PA. And so I had so many clients reaching out to me about that. Like, can you believe this? Yes, I can believe this. Unfortunately, insurance is still acting in the way that they always have, which is to reduce reimbursement as much as they possibly can. So yeah, maybe we went up 5% on our fee schedule, but we're going to gain it back in some way by starting to deny every PA that's sent to us. And so insurance continues to leave dental practices in this weird predicament of, what do we do with that? Like, we needed to take a PA of those front teeth because of concerns that we saw visibly, or we needed to take those PAs because that's a part of our x-ray protocol that we do on an annual basis, or whatever the case may be. Dental offices are now stuck in that position of, do we do what we believe is clinically best for the patient, or do we abide by the regulations and restrictions that insurance has put in place to keep us from taking those x-rays? And for that reason, that is why when I say insurance is improving, I have to say not real on this. I just have not seen enough of a turn of events. I still am not seeing Delta pay their out-of-network providers directly. Of course, some of them do. You guys know that work with insurance, that some Delta dental plans still pay the out-of-network provider, but some don't. And the ones that have not historically paid the dental providers, I'm still not seeing those payments come to the dental offices. And so I think the rumors of insurance or dental insurance improving may have very well been started by the insurance companies themselves in an effort to kind of garner people back, or garner practices back into the fold. Now, there's a part of me that's wondering too if a lot of people, as they became more and more discouraged with their dental insurance, if they elected not to have dental insurance. And that now could be contributing to that first rumor, which is the slowness of dentistry. And so obviously all of this can potentially play together. But the bottom line is, I just am not seeing that dental insurance is improving. So if you've heard that, I would qualify that as a not real statement. So these are a few that I had at the top of my mind that I just wanted to put out there for those of you who have been wondering. I know that none of these topics has real strong solutions, but I do think it's helpful for you to chart your own course forward, or your own improvements forward, when you know the realities that you're facing. And they're not just your individual realities, but they are realities that I'm seeing on a broader, more collective basis. So when you know, oh no, this is true, this is reality, this is real, then you can actually invest the mental and emotional energy into coming up with your own solutions that are fitting for your practice and your team and yourself, for that matter. So my challenge to you today would be, dig deep and figure out how you can fight against the slowness of dentistry. Get smart on that. Get your think tank together. Get your colleagues, your advisors, your team together, and figure out, what can we do to combat this slowness that we're experiencing in dentistry. Okay, we have had trouble getting hygienists. That is a reality for us, But Bethany's saying that that's not a reality collectively, that collectively hygienists still exist. So do we have the relationships we need to have a hygienist when we need one? Bethany says that the reality is there are fewer RDAs. What can we all do to recruit an excellent RDA to our team? And yes, maybe she does not have any experience, but can we train that person? And then the last reality of insurance, do with that what you will. If you're out of network, I would not believe the lies that insurance is getting better and thus go in network. I think that's what they want you to do. And I think you're going to experience the same dank, dark world of a few years ago when you dropped. So don't fall for that line. And I would say for those of you that are still in network, do everything in your power to hold those insurance companies accountable to the best of your ability. And continue to remove yourself from the mediator role between patient and dental insurance company. You can no longer, and have not been able to for a long time, explain dental insurance or why they are choosing to deny or not pay for things as critical as PAs, for crying out loud. You can't explain them, so don't try. If your patient is frustrated with their dental insurance plan, reroute them to the source, which is either their dental insurance company or their HR company. All right, I hope this was a fun little episode of Real versus Not Real. Of course, if there's any other subjects that you're curious about and you want to know on a collective level if these things are happening, don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know what you want to hear about, and we can do more of these real versus not real realities. All right, have a great rest of the week. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you today.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.